Hello guys, in this tutorial we're gonna create a game using JavaScript and we will do it by Canvas. So our result will be the game like this. So we will create a character, and when the Thanos catches and touches the Iron Man, the game will stop and it will write game over. So shout out to all the Marvel fans there, and let's create this simple 2D game. So I will I will show you the code and explain it to make it easy for you. So first of all, this is the HTML part. It's easy, like just the title, the link to the icon, as you can see here, Marvel game, and there's a little Iron Man head icon. So, and then which is the important part, we create a canvas, and we name the canvas game. As you can see, the ID of the canvas is game. And then using JavaScript, we call that ID, but by get element by ID, and start coding in JavaScript. So first we give the canvas its width and height, and then we open a 2D plane to code, and this is very important for the game, so that I will explain it later, so that when they intersect together, the game stops. And then we create a random function, as you can see here. And what this random function does is it generates a random number from 0 till the value we give to this num when we call the function. So the first part, we need to get images. So we create constants, Thanos, logo, background, and Iron Man, and each of it we give image by, for example, every link refers to an image address, and we can look the image in Google and you can find it easily. So after we have we have created our images, we need to create the hero. Okay. So the hero needs to have the X and Y coordinates where the hero must start. It needs to have its width and height, as you can see. Like here, the width and height, and we need the speed, the x delta and the y delta. The speed, so this part is responsible for the movement of the of our hero, and we need to give our hero the image that it must generate. And then we need a draw function. So in the hero object, we create a draw function which draws our image that we have, that we give its coordinates, its place, its size, and what image to draw. And this image is we take the image by this. And then we have the update function, which changes the x coordinate of our hero by adding the value of x delta and times the speed. So you can see that we have the value of x delta and y delta is 0, so it will not move. To change the value of x delta, we create a code that changes the number by the buttons we press on the keyboard. For example, if you press the right key, it changes the x delta value to 1 from 0, and here the x coordinate changes by 10 because the speed is 10 and x delta is now change 1, and this is basically how we can control our hero. So this is for the hero part. Then as you can see, this is the key down, so if we press down it changes. If we let the button up, so key up, the x delta becomes 0. So what makes this is it just stops, and this is the control part of the hero. And then a really important part is the create villains. So as you can see here, we have one villain in the game. And then we need to create our villains. So we create a constant that is a function, takes the count, which is the number of the villains, and takes its size, canvas width and canvas height. And then it generates the count number villains that will move around the canvas. So you can see here we have created an empty array, and then we have a for loop which generates this object we have here. Inside it we have the x, the y, the width, the height of the villains, and also the movement. So we can notice that the x and the y coordinates of their starting position are calling the random function, which randomly generates a number, and so every villain starts from any randomly on the canvas. Then we have, of course, the image, the moving part, the x delta and y delta, and we have the draw function also, which draws the image of Thanos, and we have the update function, and in the update function there is two parts. The first part is responsible for the random movement of our villain, and when it touches the edges it changes its speed, and and you can see here it's the code part of this movement for our villain inside the canvas, and this part is for the intersection of the hero and the villain. So if they intersect, we use this code. And remember the game status part? When this happens, which is the code responsible for intersection, the game status becomes false. So, and of course, the array, the empty array, each element of the array, empty array, which is an empty, is replaced by the object. So every time this for loop start working, it generates one villain, and it takes as many villains as we give as the argument of the count. And then we return the array, of course. So we have an array full of all the villain objects. And we call the create villain function. And as here you can see, we gave one canvas width, canvas height as argument. So we have one villain. You can see in the game, and boom, it touches and pops game over. So let us change this to 4. And you can see that now we will have 4 villains, and it will be much more difficult to play this game. Okay, here you go. Let's change this back to 1 so it's easy. And So this is the main part which will finally draw and update our villains and heroes together, and it will draw our background and everything else. So in the draw function, we have draw image, and we draw the background in this part. Then we draw the logo. The logo, it's just something to make our background much more cooler. As you can see, it's this part. And then we call the draw function of our hero, as you remember here. This is the draw function of our hero. And then in the draw part, we also need to loop over every element, every object in our array, and draw it, call it the draw function of our villains. So in our case, it will run one time, and it will draw one villain. Then, of course, we have the update function, which will update our hero, the position of the hero, and it will update also the position of the villains by calling their update functions, as you can see. So in the update part, we update the hero and we update our villains for each villain. And then, which will finally animate all of our code, we need a loop function which will loop every time on this game status. So as you can remember, the first we assign game status true, so it will always be true. And until they intersect together, and it will, when they intersect, so when this is false, it will pass all of this, and it will do this, and will alert game over, and everything will stop. And we call this over and over, so then we call this loop function, and this works, and every time it loops. And you can see if it's true, so if it's running, there is a request animation framework, which is a function that smoothly loops and runs the game. And this is the main three things. So this is the draw function, which we have created in this part. Then we have the update function, as you can see here. And then, of course, every time we need to clear rect so that it doesn't draw and draw and draw over and over on the same. So when it moves, it doesn't draw. So it deletes the old position and then it throws the new one. So everything is smooth and everything is okay. So this is all for the game, and you can enjoy playing this game. It's really easy to create it, and hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can ask me, comment down below, and I'll be very happy to answer all of them. Peace.